Well, Drath, welcome to Fishterviews. How you doing today?
I am well. Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course, absolutely. Happy to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself for those who may not know you?
Absolutely. Well, hi guys. I'm Drath. For those of you who don't know me, I tend to build large, abstract, rather unique survival builds on my long-term server world. And I've been doing that now for 5 years on Twitch, and I thoroughly enjoy every moment of it. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
So, in terms of content creation, do you only stream on Twitch or do you do YouTube and other platforms as well?
I haven't really focused on YouTube much at all over the last little while. It's mostly just been Twitch because I started on Twitch and I got into the vicious loop of just streaming. So it makes it really hard once you've hit that point to break out and then, yeah, do some
The,
stuff for other places.
the classic, I just want to stream Vicious Loop.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's really good, but it's really terrible.
It's so true too, because I'll find myself like thinking about making a video and then I'm like, oh, I could just stream. Like, that's fun. Like,
Well, because the thing with streaming is that everything is all in one flow. So
Mhm.
you start, it doesn't matter if you're scatterbrain, it doesn't matter what's going on. You just do your thing. And then at the end of the stream, you go, right, see you later, guys. And it's done.
Yep.
But when you're having to do things for video, there is some kind of planning that needs to be done. You need to make sure that the clips are legible or
hmm
it's like, so there's a lot more to that. So streaming is, I hate to say it like this, but it's almost lazier. You just turn up, you do it, and then it's done.
Yeah, maybe not lazier, but there's definitely a lower barrier to entry. There's a
Yes.
lot less stuff. I mean, setting up OBS is a whole
Yeah,
it's a
that's
whole
a whole
thing,
thing. Yeah,
but
there's audio and video, and yeah, that's a whole thing. But in terms of the function, is you turn up, and it doesn't matter if you're scatterbrained that day. You haven't got clips, or you haven't got things that you're trying to do. You just get
Mhm.
carried away, and then chat interrupts you, and then from sorting your storage system out, next thing you know, you're half building a tree, which reminds you never finished the roof. So then you come, you know.
So you watched my last stream, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
My best streams are my like really scatterbrained ADHD days. So,
Yeah, because you're chatting with people, then it becomes the social thing, which is I think what makes streaming the most fun. Um,
mhm.
because it's connection. You're just hanging out with people rather than the focus being the game, which is something I would really like to be able to change. I haven't found a path of making that happen yet.
So you want streams to be more focused on the game and less focused on the hanging out?
No, no. I want streams to just be about the hanging out and the
Gotcha.
focusing.
Okay, I
And
misunderstood.
then so to do the Minecraft thing or whatever it is, really, then you do that in that video format, in that right, here we go. Here's a video. This is what I'm doing. People
hmm
get to see and digest everything in one thing, and then you hang out and stream, and then you dig 3 blocks and then cut a tree down and place 3 leaves, and then you have a laugh while you're doing that, which is ultimately the thing that makes streaming so good.
hmm I
Is that
think this is
social
why
interaction?
it's one of the reasons I think Minecraft is like the perfect stream game. Because it's not one of those games where like if you look away, you're going to suffer in some way, unless maybe you're playing hardcore. Like, if I'm sitting here and building a tree or whatever, if I look away from the leaves for a few minutes to like read chat and mess around and like just be a silly goose, it doesn't hurt me in any way. It doesn't hurt my game,
Yeah, it
and
doesn't
I just
change
turn back
anything.
to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the perfect
Yeah,
game.
it is. It's really good. Well, because it's um everything is transitory with Minecraft. Unless you're doing it, nothing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you say, you're not going to miss anything. If you turn away or somebody disappears and comes back a couple of hours later, they'll see the 2 trees that have been built in that time, or the garden that was planted, or there's a there's a follow along process to it that you can easily follow along. You can disappear, come back in a couple of weeks, and be like, I remember seeing that, or I remember when you were digging the hole for that, or yeah, there's an easy progression to it when you're following along with what people are doing. It's really good like that. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. So,
Well, for me, it's more of a creative platform than a game per se, because as a game, I don't have a lot of stuff in Minecraft that I enjoy to do other than building. Fishing is good fun. Like, this is great. It's just chill. You wait for the bubbles, click, woohoo!
it's the best fishing minigame of all the games that have a
It
fishing
is. It's
minigame.
fantastic. And I've done 24-hour fishing in World of Warcraft, in a couple of other games. I've done huge fishing adventures, but Minecraft, oh, it's so satisfying.
Well, I think it's because it's easy. You know, you've played Stardew Valley, right?
Nope, but I
You have
watched it.
not? Okay. Well,
Never
Stardew
played
Valley
Stardew.
fishing is wildly known to be extremely frustrating because depending on the type of fish, and it matters, it becomes much more difficult to catch said fish, and you have to like click to keep your like bobber aligned with the fish, and it's very
Oh.
annoying. And it's like the exact opposite of Minecraft fishing, where it's like, oh, bubbles, click, fish.
Well,
Stardew is like
World of Warcraft
frantic
fishing
tapping.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. I have to say I've not picked up on that. Mind you, as an observer, you just see fish caught, fish not caught. So if you've never played it, you don't know. World of Warcraft fishing is very similar to this, except the only place that you catch fishes from are the little circles that randomly appear. They're like fishing nodes, and you have to go and fish the nodes. So there's a lot of moving around. Minecraft, you can just sit in a boat, chill, enjoy like this now, having a nice time.
This is why I love fishing for this format. Because it started off a bit of an accident, some Fishterviews backstory, which is that I had agreed to play on this like short-term 1 month world, and I didn't really want to build anything because I just wasn't like feeling it, and I wanted to do something, so I just was like, I'm just gonna fish. Like that seems like a very low energy, like fun thing I can do and hang out. So I built myself a little boat and I just sat around and fished. And then people would keep showing up and hanging out and fishing. And we would just be like, you know, shooting the shit, basically, just chatting.
Yeah.
And fishing. And it was a great time. And so we jokingly ended up calling it a Fishterview because I was just asking people questions. And the one thing I really realized with the fishing is that a lot of, myself for sure, but a lot of Minecrafters struggle with standing still. We have ADHD.
Yes.
And the fishing gives you something to do so that you're not talking and running around in a circle like I'm very apt to do if I'm just chatting with someone in game and not doing something with my hands.
I think that's every video game I've ever every multiplayer video game that I've ever played. You never see people standing still. Very rarely. If they're still, they're most likely AFK.
Yep.
But if not, they are moving in some format or another. They're doing things. You can see a reaction with the character. Oh, yeah, that person's.
Yep.
There's action happening.
Exactly. Like you literally, it's so, I don't know what it is about being in a video game, but standing still just like hurts. You have to be doing something.
For me, I know I've said it a lot on stream, but that thing for me about AFK farms that I really don't like is that I'm not doing. And I don't like the idea of logging into a game to leave my character somewhere doing things while I'm not there in the game. I'm not there doing it. So I try and avoid AFKing, even if it's just standing there and swiping. I'd much rather stand there and swipe and me swipe and not an auto clicker, because at least I'm doing it. At least it's me doing. I farmed it. I killed the 20 gazillion things, not my auto clicker.
You probably have the most honest claim to your hours played in Minecraft then, because you've not AFK'd.
Well, very close. I mean, I have, because obviously my world server was pretty much started as a server. Between me and a few friends, very similar backstory. But yeah, because that world was what it was, obviously, without the use of mods, cam accounts were a big popular thing years ago. So I have multiple accounts. I have like 4 Minecraft accounts. And so AFKing, I tend to do on the account, which is my opt account, because I don't really care what happens to it. So if I'm going to AFK, I'll do it with my other account, because I like to keep my in-game playtime. I like to look at it and know that actually I've been playing for, 0.7 of a year or whatever it's displaying now on on those stats, and I've actually done, I would probably say, a vast majority of that actually in game, because I haven't really been and done much AFKing. So yeah,
I think
it's
that's so cool. Like,
yeah, it's good. Yeah,
it was actually you.
yeah, I did it.
You did it. That is like one of those things about Minecraft that like I dislike, but I also have a hard time finding a way around it sometimes. Like I'm not somebody who's like totally avoids AFK farms. I build AFK farms, it's fine.
Well, that's mostly what we have. So
Exactly.
it's a rock and a hard place. You either do or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, as a person, I don't necessarily have the time to sit around and swipe at something for hours and hours. And it's like, oh, I'm just gonna AFK and leave my character alone while I go clean my house or do whatever it is I need to do in my real life, and then I'll come back.
Yeah.
But it's also like, oh man, all right, and I just left my Minecraft character sitting around for 6 hours. Like, that's kind of lame. But
And that's and because of that headspace and those kind of thought processes are what stopped me from trying to do that. It has to be a bit more purposeful for me. I think right now it's an AFK session. Come on with the account, do the AFK, like it's go to the shops, do the things. Yeah, I don't like sitting still. It's that sitting still. I like to
it
do
is the
something.
sitting still. As I am sitting here in real life, I'm like literally like crisscross applesauce, moving a foot over here, like shrimping fully, because I can't sit still for any period of time. It's really a problem. I've completely given up on sitting still for my life. Just
it's
not
what
the
you
thing.
are.
It is.
That's just how you are, so it's good.
Exactly. So
anyway, it's healthier than sitting stagnant.
That's
and
true.
like just a blob in single one position, because you then you relax and then your body relaxes into really bad positions, and then that's when you get really bad body problems, because your body relaxes into a position that it's not supposed to be, like twisted or contorted in your chair, and oh yeah, I got lower back problems. No wonder.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't do that.
No, exactly. Yeah, but I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, I fidget all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, I have a horrible habit of chat yells at me, sitting like a shrimp. Where I'm like hunched over my keyboard because I'm focusing on something and I just have the world's worst posture. And I have to fix it somehow, back. And I don't know how.
Well, I did get a standing desk for that very purpose, so that when I'm not focused on playing games, that I stand up and do things at the desk, rather than sitting down in the not sitting down periods. Because when you're focused on something, you've got to sit down. Your legs kind of relax somehow, and then you standing up becomes neon impossible. So the more focused and involved you get with something, the more you got to sit down.
I'm just imagining you at your standing desk, like, and suddenly becoming very locked in on something and just slowly toppling over.
But that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's it. You get more and more lent on the desk, and then from like the elbow being on the desk, then it's suddenly like, well, my shoulder really wants to just.
And then you just keep going.
and then you, okay, sod it, press the button, go down, we'll sit down.
That's funny. So, Drath, I want to get a little bit into a little bit more about Minecraft and your Minecraft background. When did you start playing Minecraft, and how did you discover it?
So, funny enough, I was running a guild in World of Warcraft, pretty big guild, and a few of the people in there were all talking about Minecraft. Well, actually, no. My first introduction to Minecraft was years ago, when I was playing on retail WoW back in the early days. It would have been 2009. We met some Austrian lads, because I played World of Warcraft originally on a German server. Some Austrian lads were playing in my guild, and they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'd love to go and tank this raid, or I'd love to come and do something in this raid that we were going to go and do, but my younger brother's running a Minecraft server and the internet's tanked, so we can't do anything." It's like, no. So my first thing with Minecraft is like, oh my God, what is this horrible game that everybody's making servers and destroying the ability for me to get my good people in a raid group? It's like, ugh. And this was back in 2009. So it's like, oh, send me a video. I want to know what this game is. Why is this, why are they tanking your internet? How can it be that bad? And I saw some videos, and Minecraft back then wasn't exactly the prettiest looking game. It was
No.
pretty basic back in those days.
It was
And
trees and grass at that point. Like...
yeah. It was, cobbled stone basically.
hmm
Cobbled stone and oak. So I watched a couple of videos and just thought, man. So my initial thing with Minecraft was like, I am not even slightly interested. What an awful game. Don't see the appeal. And so that was that. And then a few years later, I got back into World of Warcraft again. Funny enough, in this very apartment. And some friends of mine, they were talking about going Minecrafting. So I got brilliant. Share your screen. Oh, I can't share my screen at the moment. So they started to describe what was going on, where they were, what they built, and everything else. I thought, it doesn't sound like the same game that I watched. And I got sent a video here. This is what Minecraft is. I was actually, it looks pretty cool. But I'm running a guild, so I'm really super busy with guild stuff. It's like 200 people in the guild. It was big. There was a lot of stuff going on. And I didn't really have any mind for it. It's like, oh, dude, it's like Lego. It's just like Lego. You loved Lego. Yeah, I loved Lego. Yeah, it's just like Lego, but virtual. So, that's really, really interesting somehow. And then one night we were all hanging out, and some friends, they were on the server together, and they were talking about going and doing a mining trip. And at that point, I didn't really understand the mining thing. I didn't realize you could just dig a hole anywhere, and then you were good to go. When they said they were going to a mining trip, I presumed that in Minecraft you had to go to a specific area to mine a specific something very similar to how it was in World of Warcraft. You want a certain ore, you have to go to a certain zone.
hmm
Yeah, so that was like on my mindset. And then they get there. This took like 2 or 3 hours. It must have been 2 or 3 hours, a long time of getting prepped up, and I had no idea. I was thinking, wow, 2-hour prep to go mining? Like, what the heck? What's this game? Like, this is serious business. And obviously, this banter, and as people are, we delay everything, every moment, every opportunity we get.
Yep.
And anyway, so they arrive. Finally, they get to the point where they were going to go mining. And one of the guys forgot shovels and pickaxes.
2 hours and he didn't ever go, I should get a pickaxe.
He didn't bring pickaxe. So it was like, then obviously all the jokes was like, oh my God, you've got to go mining in a mining game and you didn't bring the tools to mine. So that became this massive meme in the thing, but I didn't understand that you could just make tools. You find a tree, chop, cobblestone, done. Yeah, I just didn't understand Minecraft. So I'm hearing all this stuff thinking, wow, this actually sounds really funny that you've got to go mining and you have to prepare and you have to get your tools together. And so it sounded really curious. Anyway, he said, my mate was like, why don't you come on and hop onto the server one time and see how you get on? And I did. And, what did I do? I think we just rode around on horses most of the time looking at stuff. And then I watched a couple of videos and I saw what people were doing. I was like, oh, hang on a minute. This isn't just like building a little house and stables. People are building like really cool stuff in Minecraft. I didn't think it was creative. I didn't understand that, or obviously in the very beginning I knew nothing. And I built some houses. I think I discovered Jeracraft actually. And Jeracraft's roofs were fantastic. The kind of elven, wispy, mystical, whimsical roof style. I thought, wow, brilliant. So I'm just going to do those roofs. And I always loved Asterix and Obelix. I always loved those comics, and I loved the A-shaped houses. I loved the fact that the roof touched the floor and it went up to a point and then they came down. I always loved those, and you could build them in Minecraft. So that was it. I built a few of those, and then I didn't do much with that server then. Played a little bit for a few months. That was pretty much about it. And then I can't remember what happened. There was a bit of a gap. And then another world got started, and then that failed somehow. I don't know why that didn't work out. I think there was big discussions about seeds and I don't have no idea what was going on. And then I started a world which was the pre-runner to the world that I'm on now. And it got corrupted. It was only the spawn chunks. Everything outside of the spawn chunks reset when the server shut down.
Oh
So I
no.
invited some friends on to come and build, and they're like, "Dude, did you reset my chunks?" I did. Wait, you can reset chunks? Wait, you can do this? Yeah, and apparently discovered us like, right, well, try this again. Why would it be the next day? And he said maybe server restart. So we built something outside, something really obvious, like a creative. We just did pink wool everywhere, and then yeah, reset, log back on, no pink wool. Oh man! And he said, yeah, the world's corrupted. So then I started this world, and I've been on that world pretty much ever since that day. And I officially started playing Minecraft in 2018.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what, I guess, like, what drives your building style? Because you have a very unique style of building, I would say. Probably one of the most unique I've seen in terms of it's not like you're just like sitting down and building a very nice house. You know, you're
Mm-mm.
building some crazy stuff.
I like fractals. I like multi-layered textures in real life. One of the things that I like about nature, and when you look at layers of trees, is that it's not the individual trees that matter so much, but when you're looking through a load of trees, all the different types of trees layered, they create their own texture. And it's that when you're looking over a big view that, for me, makes nature so beautiful, because it's all the different shades of green and everything. They all kind of mix to make a whole new picture. So being able to do things like that in Minecraft are, yeah, they're the things that I like the most, and that's what I build. It's shapes and glass, because you can see through glass. Yeah.
Hey, you're able to accomplish some really cool things with shapes and glass, to be fair.
So that's it for me. That's really everything. I don't really think of things in. I don't build a house. I don't really build houses. I don't build usable stuff. Like, I don't think, oh, I need a building to do something. Most of the time I have a shape in mind, and then I try and, like, I start off with a silhouette in my head. And then as I start placing blocks, the silhouette becomes clearer in some things, and I try and fill out those details with the with the blocks that I have at hand, which usually sticks to pretty the same block palette of nether bricks and white concrete. But they're contrast, yeah. They have high contrast, so yeah, I really like that. Yeah,
Fair.
it's fantastic. But that's it. I know it's really quite simple. It's really very, very, very simplistic, and yeah.
I think there's something to be
build
said though
houses.
for like using a simplistic idea to create something very complex, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the bigger picture after it's all said and done is complex, but it doesn't start off as a complex idea. I don't have any full picture of anything. It's just one step at a time, which is why when people say, oh, how do you do it? It's just one brick at a time. I do one thing, and then after I've seen it, then I get ideas, and by the time I don't know, whatever it is that you've finished, the walls of whatever it is that you're doing, by the time I finish that, I might have a completely different direction that I want to go in. So all those mental images that I had before of the shapes that could look really good, when it comes down to it, that's not how they went. Unlike my latest build at the moment that I'm doing, in the floor originally, I wanted to have the archways that were kind of towering above. I wanted those to be mirrored underground, and I wanted to do a layered glass fog effect, so it looked like they were kind of dissolving into the ether below. Yeah, kind of giving you that sort of dissolved, faded look of a reflection. That was everything. While I was building it, yeah, lining everything with black concrete, and that's what I'm going for. I did one archway, and like, no, this isn't it. No, it's going to look stupid when we go all the way. And so then that was like my dream shattered, because for the week previously, that's all I was thinking about was, doing this thing and creating this effect. And yeah, in the end, I did a kind of a 3D design out of glass in the center hall piece. And then in each of the wings that are coming off the building, I decided to do a 3D spiral of 3 different colors of glass that reach a portal at the end of the room underneath the floor. And but that was very spur of the moment. It was just an impulse thing. Right, I'll just try this. Oh, it works. Brilliant, we'll do it. So yeah, it's all very spontaneous. And that's just the way my brain works. I can't help it.
Hey, if it works for you, it works for you. So
Yeah.
it really sounds to me like I guess I'm just trying to understand. You really only just go into a build with like a kind of concept. You want it to have a certain shape and maybe a certain color, and then you just sort of build from there. You kind of let it develop.
It might just start off with a doorway or an archway or one pillar. That's what I go into a build with. It might just be one small individual aspect. Like, I have something that I really want to do. Where I'm going to do it, how I'm going to do it, I have absolutely no idea. But you know the way old Roman and Greek columns, they have the decorated bottoms.
Yes.
They all have the squirrely bit. There's names for all of the 6 designs. But
Yeah,
I can't.
feel like I know them, but I don't.
I should. I really should, but anyway. Someone in the comments will be like, "Oh yeah, that's such a brilliant, nice one." Cheers,
Yeah,
dude."
absolutely. Like half a wiki article, just be like, cannot believe you guys don't know what a Roman column
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Man, there's this, that, and the other. Obvious. Yeah, right. Okay. Moving on. But yeah, I've always wanted to do something like that, but that's an idea that will at some point come to fruition. I will find a location or a build, or I'll find somewhere that doing a decorated column base and top will be exactly what's needed for that particular space, and then that's what I'll do, and then it'll go from there, and then whatever will come from that will come from that. It's I guess for anybody who's musical out there and who plays an instrument, when you whatever instrument it is, when you get down, you hit a couple of notes, and then suddenly the 2 notes that you've jingled in a particular way of flopping your hand on whatever instrument it is generate a tone or a sequence, and then all of a sudden you have a melody, and then you're trying to play that melody that you heard for a split second, and then that then develops into something else. And it's the exact same thing for me with Minecraft. Is I put down a small thing, a small shape, whatever it is, and then that's it. Next thing you know, something's evolved from it.
Interesting. I think that's such an interesting way to describe it, to equate it to trying to develop a piece of music.
Well, yeah, I did music for many years. That was like my main thing until World of Warcraft came about. But I needed a break from music because I became very antisocial. I became the nerd who did nothing but stay indoors and play with synthesizers, and lost the ability to talk to people without music being the number one focus. So that was a bit of an issue. But then gaming came around. It's like, oh, come play with us on here. Do you know what? Let's do it. I can give 6 months of my life to this 14 years later.
Like, you mean I can be social and stay inside? This is great.
Yes. Woohoo! Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was pretty much that one. So
Oh.
but Minecraft is a platform. For me, it's like I said before, I don't really see Minecraft as a game as much. There isn't a lot of stuff in Minecraft that I see as very game-like. I kind of have a weird perspective of it. It's nice to be, like now we're together, we're next to each other, and we're fishing, and that's all nice. But realistically, if you're building something, unless you're sharing like Matica schematics or something like that, it's very difficult to collab on a build unless you're both free-handing something which doesn't have an end goal. But as soon as there's an end goal, that's one person's vision, and that's why it's being built. So then everybody else has to follow that one person's lead. So then one person then turns into a construction site supervisor and not a builder. Because they're going, oh, no, we needed the trees over here. Whoa, I didn't mean to dig that 5 blocks down. That's 3. And so then you become a construction site supervisor.
They should just
kind
make
of.
the helmets yellow is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, clipboard, everything else. Right, let's go. Oh, that's not regulation. That glass is the wrong shade.
OSHA would have a field day with Minecraft
Oh
building.
my goodness me. Yeah, the tons of rock in the pockets. Oh my goodness.
Just the unshored trenches, the unsupported caves. There's just so many things falling off of
Oh,
ledges,
it's a
scaffolding,
disaster.
you know, all of the things. I don't know if you ever have seen the Polygon video about OSHA violations in Smash Bros, but somebody
Oh,
should make one for
yeah.
Minecraft
Oh my
because there's a
goodness,
lot.
right?
Very unsafe. I mean, I can just,
So,
I recently, because of my job, had to take like a 10-hour OSHA safety course, and I can think of
ugh.
like a lot just off the top of my
Oh
head.
my goodness,
So
yeah, right.
just a lot of
Big
things.
time.
But no, it's an interesting point you make about trying to, or like collab building, because it's true, like having collabed on builds, it does sort of feel like that. You're both kind of just sort of kind of dancing around it for a bit, right? To see, you know, who's going to
Yeah,
place the first kind of things, what direction are we going to go? And then
yeah,
once you place a couple, then it sort of evolves and takes a life of its own from there. But it does sort of feel like, all right, which of us is going to be the first to like make this choice about this and like push it in a direction?
exactly. Yeah.
It's a bit of a
And
dance.
then when somebody takes it in a direction, everybody else then has to follow.
Hmm.
And then the other problem that you have with that is that if, say, somebody doesn't feel that they have the building capacity that the person who made the lead on, they immediately take a step back because they can't further what's being done because they see whatever's being done is more than what they're capable of doing. Which is not necessarily the case. You just copy. Yeah, you go, look, oh, what did he do there? Oh, upside down stair, on top stair, slab, full block. You just copy the pattern. But in many cases, if you're working with a in commas, better builder,
Hmm.
then that can then put off the not so confident builder. I prefer to put it in terms of confidence rather than what's
Yeah, I
better or
like
what's
that better
worse.
too. I'm well known for saying in chat, like, people will come in and be like, "Oh man, I suck at Minecraft. I can't build like that." And not to say that I'm an amazing builder, I'm fine at it, you know. But it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't suck. You're not bad at it. You're not bad at the game. It's simply a different skill set, and it requires practice. Just like drawing.
Yes.
It's any Minecraft is simply shapes and colors, right?
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically just art. If you're trying to build something, and you know, it takes practice. You have to actually sit down and fiddle with blocks and put stuff up and go, oh, that looks bad, and take it back down
Yeah.
again, and then do it
Whoa.
again until it starts to
Yeah.
look good.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Which is how I learnt curves and why I like to do circles freehand. Sure, I can bring up a,
mhm.
mini HUD graph, or I can, do all these things and then within like 20 seconds have the exact perfect circle that I want. Yeah, sure, I can do that, but the fun to me is going, all right, is it 5 4 3 3 2 2 2 1 1 1? Oh no, that's not quite right. So it needs to be like 5 4 4 3 2 2 1 1 1 1 1. Instead,
Somebody build
and
that
it's just
circle and tell me what it looks like.
oh, I've done it many times. In fact, you were watching me when I did
I
that
know,
exact
I
thing.
know, I was. I've seen you build those exact circles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're always the same. But yeah, so and it's that I like that. I like that challenge, and I like looking at it. And it's like, yeah, okay, this took me 4 hours to do a circle. Yeah, I did it though, and it looks really good. And then I can
Mhm.
walk away from that being really proud that it took me 4 hours to do it, but that was 4 hours of something that I learned myself.
Mhm.
And so every step of the way, every mistake that was made is another notch on the belt of understanding. Because whereas if you just copy, if you do tracing all the time, you spend more time worrying about whether you've traced it correctly or whether the line thickness was correct rather than just doing it and go, oh, that next time I'm going to do this. And
Mhm.
so that kind of stays with you then. The lessons are better learnt, I think, but it depends on, like I say, Minecraft isn't a game for me. It's creative outlet. It's sculpting. It's
Mhm.
reverse sculpting.
Reverse
I
sculpting.
sculpt air with substance.
I want that on a t-shirt, please. Sculpt air with substance, and it's just Minecraft,
Yeah,
Steve. Like
and it's
that's
just
all I want.
exactly. So yeah, it's reverse sculpting,
Hmm.
and that's kind of like how that's how I see it.
No, that's an amazing way to put it, because in truth, you're starting off with a blank canvas, basically. That's a Minecraft world is, in a sense, almost a blank canvas. I mean, it has stuff in it, but
Yeah, there's
it's
trees and there's
there's
hills and
trees
stuff,
and
but
stuff, but
yeah,
nothing
but they'll
like what you might be building, and then you go from there. You add, you know, it's very
yeah,
additive.
absolutely, yeah. And how many people do you see? Um, I mean, this hill next to us is a prime example.
Hmm.
Brilliant. You've got this great big hill.
Hmm.
It's a just looking at dirt with a few interspersed bits of stone brick. There's nothing particularly too special or magical about
Hmm.
it, but you put a few walkways that go around that with, on a couple of the big flat spaces that you see there. If there was like a little tunnel where the walkway went into there and then
Hmm.
came out on the side, which led to some stairs going up, suddenly you've added a lot of interest and you've done nothing but, you know, build a little walkway, which you can then hang leaves off. And if you do a different color leaf to, well, we have a lot of spruce, so hang something like acacia or oak, which is a different color. And then boom, suddenly you have amazing interest being added to what is otherwise a very bland, blank Minecraft canvas. And
Hmm.
that's how it starts. That's how all of it starts. And you see it all the time. People go, "Oh, I love this area." Why? Because there's something inspiring about the valley that they saw, or the hill, or the island in the lake, or the
Hmm.
yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you're
So
volunteering to make that hill look interesting.
uh-oh.
Oops.
I'm just gonna slink away slowly.
Like, no, 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 that's not what I'm saying. Nope, nope, nope. It's so true though, and one of the reasons I truly love that Minecraft updated the terrain generation is because it really reinvigorated that sort of feeling of inspiration when you look at the Minecraft terrain. Because it's so much easier now to kind of fly around or walk around and look at something and go, "Oh, I could do something cool there." Because
Absolutely.
they've
Yeah,
made it so much nicer.
it is. Yeah, it's low, and I think the higher cliffs and everything are they're massive. It's huge. Makes such a big difference because it gives perspective, and I think anything that
Yes.
offers
Hmm.
perspective and contrast, magical. Really good stuff. It's good in life. It's good in game. Yeah, it's good. You have
Yeah.
to have contrast so that you can understand what it is that you've got. It's that old thing where
Hmm.
if everything was positive all the time, you'd never know if something was positive because you've got nothing to compare it against. So you have to have low points to appreciate the high points. That is just the flow of life. Is that you can't understand? You can't understand the good if you haven't experienced bad to know what the good is. And
Hmm.
good and bad are very subjective. It's that karmic thing of what's good for you might not be good for me. So it's very personal and individual. Um, but yeah, that's that thing. And so having contrast in game, it's like, oh, there's a really high cliff, and then oh, there's a really low point with water in it. You've got contrast there. So all of a sudden, that little cottage that you were going to build with a garden around it might look awesome with a mountain in the back.
Hmm.
And you've got that now without having to spend 7 months building a mountain.
Thank goodness. When I started playing Minecraft, 2019, I was convinced by a friend to play it, and I was like, "This isn't this like a kids game?" Like I was very skeptical, and she convinced me to play it, and I was like, "Oh, this is so fun!" And I immediately started watching Minecraft YouTubers because I was like, I want to know what's going on with this game.
Yeah.
And the number of people actively building mountains in order to introduce that feeling of depth and, scale, for example, to the game was so high. I mean, it was like every other day somebody was building custom mountains because they
Oh yeah,
wanted to sort
it
of
was all
add
the
that.
rage. Hmm. And especially while everyone was locked down, there was so much time. What better to do than do something that takes a lot of time? Yeah, so good. It's something I haven't done yet. I haven't really built a mountain
Mhm.
yet.
Yet it's not one of those projects that I want to really take on necessarily because I'm like, That's a lot of work. Like,
It is a lot of work. There's an area at the back of my house that, yeah, on my world that I would love to see a big mountainscape there. I just think it would. I think it would fit the image really nicely. And the only way that one is going to happen there is when I build it. But I got to build it, and it just I've got a few other terraforming projects that I've got on. I have a massive hole. I have a massive cavern that I really want to get stuck into, but I got to so be in the mood for terraforming and shaping, and I've got to be so in the mood for that. And I kind of want to tackle that first because the hole's already dug for the most part. I just need to do a lot of shaping. I want to do that before I tackle a mountain, because if I can make it look good that way round, then I'll be happier with my confidence again to do a good job of a mountainscape.
Mhm. And plus, it's such a, like, building a mountain is such a massive project to kind of commit yourself to. Because I don't know if you do this, but if I start a big project in Minecraft and I'll work on it for a while and then I'll need to just like take a step back from it because I'm like, oh man, this is really taking longer than I'd hoped. And then you just like sort of almost feel a little guilty that it's sitting there unfinished for forever. And so
Well,
I have like that fear of like, oh, I start like building a mountain and then it's not done for forever and it haunts me. Like it haunts my every step, you know? Like,
that is definitely a big part of it because, well, I have a thing where I don't really like being interrupted. If I'm in the middle of if I'm in my zone and I get interrupted and taken out of that zone, then the more that happens to me, the more that the inspiration for that particular project decreases exponentially. So when streaming, it's pure interruption. So you get into your zone, you're like, brilliant, you're focused, you're building, dun, 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 and then you get raided, or, you know, somebody says something funny in chat and you respond to it because it's fun, or, you know, whatever's going on. Then suddenly I've voluntarily left my zone, and I can't blame anybody else for it because I did it. I was like, oh, wow, that's hilarious. And then you join in, then you realize, oh, I'm not in my zone anymore. And I kind of feel myself distancing from those projects that I'm really inspired to kind of get forward, but I've already created that big distance. And like you say, the thought of starting something else big is a bit of an issue like that, which is why I think the YouTube model is a little bit better for the creative aspect of Minecraft rather than the socializing aspect. Because if it takes you 3 days to just zone out, and then you do a 3 days straight where you just sleep on the chair and wake up with QWERTY in your forehead, and then you carry on, that kind of thing, like no lifing the build, then you get that thing done. And then after like 3 days, you're like, oh yeah, look what I did. But that could be 6 months on stream.
exactly, yeah.
So that there's a little bit of a, there's a little bit of an awkward thing, at least with me. I mean, I think it's probably autistic or everything else, but I don't like using labels because, yeah, I am who I am, and I'm aware of my character flaws, as it were. But yeah, it's definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally get you. I kind of have a similar thing going on, and it's really funny because like streaming is great for doing that type of project, in my opinion as well, because something about having other people watching me do it also motivates me to actually finish this giant thing that I've started, but then the distractions do make it harder. So it's like really a double-edged sword, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I've been fighting with this for so long because you know the size of everything I build is massive.
Yep. I've never seen you make a small build at this point.
I've tried. I've tried to do small, but every time I do small, it's like, oh, we're at build height already. Oh, no.
How did that happen?
Exactly. I need to start building on top of mountains. Get myself I've run out of space. I've only got 100 blocks. Woo!
That isn't until you go, oh, this mountain isn't quite what I want. Maybe I should build a mountain. It's like if you give a mouse a cookie, like it just keeps going.
Building a mountain on a mountain.
Exactly.
No, and I would love to do. I'd love to do, or find at least somewhere I could work on. It's just one of the things that you see that always looks so grand when you see it in the real world, and I think would look spectacular in Minecraft. And I've seen bits of the similar sort of thing in Minecraft. Is when you have a big bridge bridging two mountains with a
Hmm.
massive valley, and you have the beautiful columns coming down, and they can all be decorated nice. And yeah, something I'd love to do at some point, but yeah,
That would be super cool.
haven't
I
got there yet.
That's oddly enough something I've wanted to build as well, because I recently played Elden Ring, which has beautiful like
Yes.
castles and this giant
Hmm.
landscape, and one of the things it loves to do is have this crazy massive bridge to nowhere.
Yep.
And then, like half of it of course will be crumbling because everything is busted in Elden Ring in the world.
Hmm.
But that's one of those things I've been like, oh, that would be so cool to build, but also that's a lot of stone. Like I'm committing
Yep.
myself to a lot of blocks.
Yeah, I think of builds in terms of double chests of shulker boxes mostly. So if I think of a chest of something, I'm thinking of a chest of shulkers rather than, you know, a handful of stacks that fit into a chest. It's yeah,
Hmm.
just because of the scale of things, and that's exactly right. Oh, okay, that'll be 50 chests. Oh my
So many.
goodness. That's hours of placing. It's just hours of. And even though it's mindless placing, you still have to focus. Because if you place a wrong block, you've got to remove that block. And the more you're not focused on it, the more wrong blocks you place. It's kind of. Then you get. Yeah. It's like mining. I don't know if you get it, but if I'm mining and digging, I get really focused on the breaking the blocks, even though I've not got to do anything apart from aim.
Hmm.
I get so focused in on mining, it's terrible. It's
No, it's yeah, it's very similar. It's the
it's
reason I fall
cathartic.
into a lot of holes when I'm mining, is because I will just be in the zone, just breaking blocks, especially if I
Hmm.
have haste or something, and then I just fall into a hole that I didn't see because I'm not paying any attention to anything other than where the pickaxe is. It's a
Oh,
problem.
Lytras for the win.
Yep. And feather
Oh,
falling.
falling. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Thank goodness. So, Drath, I want to switch gears a tiny little bit,
Hmm.
because I'm curious. So, you live currently in the UK, correct?
I am. Yeah.
But you grew up in India, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. I was born and brought up in India. Yeah.
Awesome. So, how do you feel that that sort of multicultural upbringing has influenced your Minecraft?
Well, I've definitely got to see different types of architecture. That's for sure. And when you go and see temples that are so unbelievably old that yeah, there's just that really old ancient smell. I don't know how many of I don't know for yourself or anybody else watching whether you've smelt that smell of ancient. There's a particular smell in old temples, and it's just old. It's like the air has been in there for thousands of years, because most of the time it has in some of the places. But yeah, you just get this real, you get this kind of real connection to how old things are and the different styles of over the centuries, how temples were built, and yeah, all these things were put together. Yeah, it's phenomenal. And I haven't been to like Machu Picchu or anywhere South America wise yet. I'd love to go. But in terms of Indian architecture, very, very vast, very varied,
Hmm.
lots of stuff. And I've been around Europe a lot. So a lot of influence from European architecture. And the French and the Germans, absolutely phenomenal for obviously their Goth and Frank style, yeah, decor, and all of like the twiddly squirly bits, as I like to call them.
It's a technical term, actually, in
Yeah,
architecture, is twiddly squirrely bits.
you know what? I think it may very well be.
If it isn't, it is now.
We've coined it. But yeah, so a lot of influence from those places, which I think make me see things somewhat differently. But I don't think that that would have influenced me any more than anyone else who just simply has an interest in it. Um,
Gotcha.
you know, because you can look at pictures, it's the same once you've seen it. I think seeing it in real life or seeing the pictures or videos or something, I don't really don't see that there's much of a difference in terms of how you can become inspired from something. Yeah.
Hmm.
Obviously, experiencing it, that's a whole different thing. You go there and you smell, and yeah, that's a whole different thing. But just from architecturally and looking at how all that stuff is, how it's all put together, and yeah, just the shapes. Yeah, you can get that from pictures for sure.
That's true. One of the things about Indian architecture I find like so stunning is the attention to detail in so many buildings where it's so highly detailed. You know, there's really
Mm-hmm.
this like such a huge effort to introduce carvings and color and texture into like a very small space that
Mm-hmm.
like it's so hard to recreate in Minecraft because of the scale. It's one of
Yes,
those things of like,
that
I wish I
exactly.
could build
Yeah.
tinier.
Yeah.
I want to
Well, that's
recreate that.
what's that mod?
Oh, something's in bits. Is it
It's
chisels
or
in?
Tinker's Toolbox or whatever it is. Yeah, it's one of them that you can carve the blocks down. Yeah, I'm so glad I've never even tried that mod.
Oh,
That would be me gone.
yep. I can only imagine. 6 hours later, I've made like one tiny little pattern, and I'm like, oh no, oh
Yes,
no.
I've been on the same block for a week.
Yeah, like I should stop.
Yeah.
I would definitely be afraid for my sanity at that point. All right, so Jeff, we are just about getting into an hour. So we've reached the part of the interview where I like to just ask silly questions that aren't Minecraft related because those are
Yeah.
often very fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Go for it.
so one question. You
Hmm.
really love cooking. That
I
I
do like
know.
cooking.
What
Hmm.
are some of your favorite things to cook?
Well, no surprise to anybody having grown up in India, I like curry. And I use curry in that blanket term for essentially Indian food. I like I like spiced food. So I suppose under that spiced food, you could still put pretty much that soul food thing. So a lot of
Hmm.
beans and spices. So I mean that covers like Africa, Asia. Um, I mean, even like a lot of Mexican food is they use a lot of spices. There's a lot of strong flavor. Um, so yeah, all of it basically. I like quite spiced, flavorsome food. I'm not a big fan on blander foods. I'll probably get some hate for this, but a lot of like Italian food and Mediterranean is very bland. It's pretty simple. It's yeah, a little bit of rubbed garlic here, some tomato sauce, and it's all about the quality of ingredients. Whereas that the tomatoes you use in your tomato sauce for a pasta make the dish. It's
Hmm.
not the pasta sauce per se, because the sauce itself is pretty simple. So balsamico, bit of basil, good tomatoes, and a couple of basil leaves, some salt. Ta-da! Pasta sauce. It's done. Um, you put the garlic in the oil, and then that's it. That's your traditional pasta sauce. But that would be bland for me. That would be quite not bland actually. It's the wrong word, but plain.
Hmm.
Whereas I like Indian food. Where it's 7 tablespoons of different powders, and the flavor smacks you in the face.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hot. It's not about the spiciness, but it just needs to be spiced, as in flavored. Yeah, I
Hmm.
like strong flavored food.
Is there
But
any
saying,
specific
go
dish
on.
that's like your go-to sort of recipe?
There is, yeah, and I've been meaning to because I do have a cooking thing, and I've been meaning to get the recipe out. But the problem is when you do like cooking, when you do cooking and try and record it, you have to eat nothing but that dish for 3 or 4 days because you have to shoot that thing 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Because maybe, just maybe, the one that I record when I taste it, it's missing. Maybe it's missing something major. So then I got to record it and cook it the next day as well. And then because people will follow it to the T. I do. Yeah. When I get a recipe, I follow it to the T. I want to know exactly how much was put in so I can follow it. Um, but if
Really?
I get,
Hmm.
yeah, I like to, because for the first time, and then I experiment afterwards.
Okay, okay.
Once I know I've copied it to the T, then I know when I taste it, I'm pretty close to what was initially showcased. Yeah, I'm close to the initial vid. And then from that, then I know I prefer more salt, I prefer more pepper, I prefer less of this, I prefer more of that. Then I can attune it to how I like to cook, and then I go purely from feeling, 100% from feeling after that. But if I'm doing a recipe, I follow it like absolutely to the I will freeze frame. I will freeze frame the video to the point where I go, well, I think this teaspoon's the same size, and let me put the mountain of that on there. Yeah, I think that's about the right. Yeah, I get really real OCD with following things like that. But anyway, yeah. So the question, one of my favorite things is Indian street food. My favorite all-time foods are the simple street vendor type foods that they have in India. And it's something that you guys can also get if you look it up. It is sold on Amazon. It's probably very expensive in the US and Canada, but
Mhm.
it is doable in most of Europe at not too much extra expense. And it comes in tins, and it's called Patra. 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 Super simple. And it's a colocasia leaf. So it's basically elephant ear plant, particular version of the elephant ear plant. And it's just mixed with curry sauce and gram flour, which is chickpea flour. I can't even speak. Chickpea flour. There we go. And it's rolled up, and then it's sold in tins, and you cut it into slices and you fry it. That is possibly my most favorite thing to eat ever.
It
It's
sounds good.
divine. It's so good. Yeah, that's one of my
I'm
favorites.
Googling it right now and it looks amazing.
Yeah. It's the stuff that you can make it yourself, but you're trying to find less. Mind you, if you're in the US, you guys have the perfect way. Many places in the US, you have the climate to be able to grow the colocasia leaf. You
Yeah,
can
in
grow
the
it. And
South, you certainly could.
oh, in the South, 100%, no question. Yeah, any tropical kind of climate, but it likes heat.
Mhm.
They don't do well with frost. So
No.
if you're further north, then yeah, you're going to have a bit of an issue. But even if you grow it yearly, at least by the end of the summer, you'll get yourself a few leaves that you could make it with super cheap if you like gardening and you have the space to do so, obviously.
Mhm.
If not by the tins, it's amazing.
I'm gonna have to try this. It sounds really good. Because
It might
I
be expensive, but just do it as a one-off to understand,
Mhm.
to know what it is. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough of it. It's divine.
Oh, it sounds great. Because I've had elephant ear leaves before. I lived in West Africa for a while, and they're eaten
Yeah.
very commonly there.
Yes.
And usually it's cooked almost like a kale leaf would in like a stew. Like you kind of chop it
Yes.
up and cook it down like that. So I've had it
Y-
prepared like that, but not in a method where it ends up kind of. This almost looks, from looking at the Google images, like crispy in a way.
When it's fried,
When
after
it's,
because
yeah, maybe
I
it's
think it's
fried.
steamed originally. They kind of steam it
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
in
think
a
I'm looking at
roll.
maybe a fried version, but
But you actually the how it's most commonly eaten is it's rolled up, steamed, or cooked initially to
Mhm.
kind of bake it into position, and then it's chopped in slices and fried. That's how it's served.
That sounds
Um,
amazing.
you can make any shape you like with it. Obviously, it's a leaf. You do what you like. But patra in its essence, oh, it's so good. And then another one, which is for me absolutely delicious, very difficult to get. There are a couple of places in the UK that do it. But that would be pani puri,
Mhm.
and pani is water in Hindi, and puri is obviously like a deep fried. I'm trying to think what would be similar to it in the West. Kind of, it's a dough, and then you deep fry it, but not like deep fried like fries or anything like that. It's like a deep fry, like you would deep fry a donut, because the puris, they don't actually go under; they kind of sit on top, and then you have to flip
Okay,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fried like a deep, shallow fry, I
Mhm.
guess, if you want to be specific. But they crisp up, and they become brittle and crispy of the type of pastry that they're made from. And they're only small, like an inch diameter, like little small bite-size puff pastry, deep fried things. And how it's served is to have these little puris, and they poke the top with their finger, and then that breaks a hole in it, and they put in some spiced mashed potatoes, peas, um, basically a potato bhaji. It's like a fried up potato
Mhm.
curry type thing with a few spices. And then it's served with the pani, which is coriander, tamarind, and chili. And this thing is fire water. This, like, if you catch it wrong when you swallow it, it's going to burn your throat and you're just going to start coughing.
Oh
But
no.
but if you eat it correctly, where you don't let it catch that particular part of the back of your throat, you don't get any of the burn and you get all the flavor, and it is delicious. It's so good. There are people making it on YouTube, and that's like my second favorite thing to eat in the whole
I've never
world.
had it, but it sounds amazing. You're making me
Oh,
very
it's so
hungry.
good.
It is before breakfast for me right now,
Yes,
so
sorry. Yeah,
that sounds
so
so good.
yeah, pani puri, patra, and then the thing from Goa, which obviously where I grew up. The thing there, they make a green peas, or actually a white pea bhaji. Bhaji just basically means mixed ingredients kind of thing. It's like a thrown together
Okay.
term. A little bit like masala is collection of spices. So yeah, a bhaji is basically white peas in a watery, spicy sauce, and it's commonly eaten for breakfast in the morning. And it comes under a few names. And I have tracked down some white peas to make it with, and it is something that I really want to make a video on and put it out there, because I need to. But I ate it like crazy when I first realized exactly how to make the recipe. I ate it like crazy. I was like, oh my God, I got to do a video of this. But then I was sick of it. I ate it breakfast, lunch, and dinner for like
Oh,
3
no.
months. I'm a binge eater. When I find something I like, I eat that until I can't stand the
Yeah.
process of it anymore, and then I switch to something else. So yeah,
And
when
then
I
like
when I make
9 months later, you're like, oh man, I'd eat that again.
Yep,
Like it just
exactly. Then you get a
repeats.
taste for it. You're like, oh yeah, here we go, second wind.
Yep.
So yeah, that's it. They're my three. They're my three best favorite things to eat in the whole world, and they're all street food. It's all things that you just stop and they go bang into a bowl and serve and done.
Oh, it all sounds delicious. I
Hmm.
I wish the United States had a street food culture more, because we
Hmm.
don't really. I mean, we do in some parts, but we really don't. It's just not the same. And having lived in a country where they do have a street food culture, and especially like street like snacks, like
Yeah, yeah,
when you're traveling, you can just literally like lean out the
but
window of the
it's not
car and you
junk.
buy snacks, and it's not junk. It's
Yeah,
good
yeah.
food.
Hmm.
It's something I miss so much. Like I'll be stopped at a red light here in the States now and be like, I just wish I could buy some chips out the window. Like this is terrible. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like why are there no snacks?
Europe and like the UK, it's the same. There's no, the street food's always the same. It's like in the US you have tacos.
Hmm.
Here we don't really have tacos, but it's always chips, burgers, potatoes. It's always the same. It's basically potato in a format that's different to the next truck.
Hmm.
That's pretty much it. So it's still nice, but it's not the same. Yeah, Indian street food, and as you know from West Africa, it's good food.
It's so good.
It's actually healthy. It's food. It's nourishing. And it's tasty and yum.
Hmm. It's so good. One of my favorite things that I would buy, and I don't even remember what the word for it is it would be like a homemade tofu coated in like a pepper-based seasoning. And you would
Oh,
buy like 3 or 4 sticks of this, like kind of like a dry fried tofu. Like they put a little bit of oil in the pan, but not a lot. And it was
yeah.
delicious. And it was a great thing to just buy because it was like, okay, this is super cheap. It's really healthy. It's got protein in it, and it's delicious. Hello, everybody. Editing Small here. Quick content warning for you. The following story ends up discussing cryptids as well as an injury that occurs to a dog. So, if any sort of injury for animals and things like that bother you, please go ahead and skip this part of the episode. You can go ahead and skip forward to the last chapter where we say our goodbyes. Thanks. All right, Drath, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Um, which cryptid do you think would be the most fun to play Minecraft with?
Cryptid. Oh my goodness, what's a cryptid?
Oh, this is the second time this has happened. Is that people went, what's a cryptid?
I know the word, but it's not that my brain is just so
Like
not functioning at the moment.
Mothman or Bigfoot,
Oh, I
the
thought that's what you
Yeti.
meant. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that that's what you meant. Yeah. Um, So which one of them would be best to have in the game to
No.
play
Who
with?
would be the most fun to play Minecraft with?
Oh, is in like a partner in crime?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
We're not
oh my
adding them to the
goodness.
game. We're playing Minecraft with them.
I would probably say it'd have to be Mothman.
That's the correct answer.
I was going to say it would have to be because it's the only connection to Herobrine, the elusive, non-existent, very present, all-knowing, all-powerful, always there, suspicious entity.
Exactly. Mothman is always watching.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, Bigfoot. It'd be like playing with Chewbacca. There'd just be a lot of growling and grunting and would not be fun. But I think Mothman, yeah, the all elusive, always there, ever present.
Always watching. You know, there's a
Always
Mothman
watching.
festival in the United States.
I heard something about this. I heard something about this.
It's
Didn't
a
think it
real
was
thing.
real.
It's like this weekend. I know someone who's at it. There's an actual
what?
Mothman festival. Yes, I know a Twitch streamer who is attending the Mothman festival.
Oh my goodness.
This is a whole thing. Mothman is real. And there's a festival. If you want to see Mothmans. I don't know what happened, but it's in the last like 6 to 8 months that there's been like a Mothman culture resurgence. Like Mothman's back in.
It's a thing. 21st and 22nd.
Yeah.
It's like a cosplay event where people are going full on into, oh my goodness. All right, this is real.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it looks like such a blast. I would totally go. Just to see, just to like people watch. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say mostly for the people watching, but I'm also really into the obscure, obscene, kind of fairy tale folklore stuff like that. I find all of that really fascinating. Well, partly because as a added extra here, probably put a lot of time on. But
it's fine.
There was in the area that I grew up in North Goa, there was rumors. There were rumors that on the couple of hills that separate the different districts, the different counties, whatever you want to call them, I forget what their correct term is, but yeah, that separate the areas. There were rumors that there were a jackal comboed human creature with a dog jackal-esque face, tall pointy ears, hooves for hands and feet, and walks around often with a stick, and when it's angry, its eyes are on fire.
Interesting.
But these are usually always tales that are told to stop children from going out and playing at night because the such and such is going to come and get you. That's where a lot of these fairy tales and folklore things come from. And maybe one day somebody from the village dressed up in something similar to the folklore so that people actually saw it, and then it becomes ingrained in the people of that area. Yeah. So I understand how they kind of come about, but didn't really think anything of it. But was talking with some friends of mine, and we were up on the hill. We were doing donuts on the motorbikes and making circles, all of spraying stones everywhere, and it was great. We were having a good time. And then it was getting close to sunset. I had to get back for whatever reason. Normally I didn't really have a curfew because everyone was watching everyone at all times. I'd disappear for 3 days, and my mom would ask a random local, like, anybody seen him? And they were like, oh, yeah, we seen him. He was on a motorbike with 6 other children. They were all around the same age, going really fast down this road. And it's like, all right, well, at least he's alive. After having not seen me for a few days. So there was never really a worry for my mom that whether, anything bad would happen, because everybody knew where everybody was at all times. It's full on village law. Anyway, so yeah, we were doing this, and I ended up having to go, and I got a lift back with my mate who had the bike, and I went off, caught up with our friends the next day who we'd left on the hill, and they're like, oh my God, dude, never guess what happened. It's like, what? So I can't remember the full details of whatever it was that they were saying many years ago now. But essentially what they said is they heard They heard some noises and they saw somebody walking with a torch just further up from them, a bit higher up on the cliff, and they wanted to go and find out what it was. So they kind of headed up that way to go and have a look. They didn't see anything. They heard some weird noises. I think they said screaming and all the rest of it, but I think that was over sensationalizing the story for effect. And yeah, that happened. And then all of a sudden the guy said, yeah, from out behind the bush, we saw this really big, black, furry, wolf-like creature with hooves for feet, and he had a burning staff, essentially a really tall torch that he was walking out, but there was no glow coming from the bush. And he just said the whole thing was super surreal. So we got on our bike and we hightailed and we got out of there. And we've all heard the folklores. We just thought, ah, ha, ha, they were just trying to scare us because we were younger and they were older and they were on the hill, and it was just, didn't think anything else of it. A few months later, it just so happened that another friend of mine, somebody who I would trust if, was going to tell me a scary story, said that they were somewhere else near one of the hills. And yes, exactly. They described the exact same thing. I just thought they're perpetuating the same story. Just didn't even think, didn't bat an eyelid. Like, okay, whatever. You guys are just talking shit. You might have to bleep that, but yeah. So yeah, so that was kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. I didn't really think anything of it. Anyway, so over where I kind of was and where I grew up mostly was basically 2 beaches down. I was the outsider to where most of the my friends stayed, very much on the outskirts of all of that. Anyway, where I was staying the night over at a local friend's house. And in order to get to where his house was, you'd have to walk past about 15 dogs. And I knew this because we lived in the same village area. And I used to trigger the dogs because I used to be able to bark exactly like the dogs. And I used to repeat the barks of the dogs. And I knew how to say, "Oi, somebody's there." And then one dog would bark back with, "I can't see anybody." And then I'd bark with the different bark pattern to say, no, he's definitely there. Hey, there's someone here. And then I'd do the repeated sequence of 3 bark sequences, which was like, hey, there's somebody there. There's somebody there. And I used to set all the dogs off late at night, and everybody used to go crazy, and I'd get told off all the time for making a noise. And, because I'd trigger all the dogs, because the one dog would bark who was next to me. And then the dogs down by the road were like, "Hey, I didn't see anyone," because they're doing the curious, like, little short barks. Like, "Hey, I didn't see nobody. Got past me. Yeah, got past me too. Hey, got past me too. Where the hell is this? We can't see anybody." So all the dogs would be running around barking at 10, 11 o'clock at night. It's chaos. Anyway.
Just causing trouble.
I was trouble. But I was staying at my local friend's house, who was kind of central at the back of the village. And I heard the dogs. I heard the bark. And I was like, oh, what's going on? You didn't hear all the other dogs barking to warn the dogs further up the path, "Hey, we've got a walker, somebody's walking up." But, some guy coming home drunk or whatever, whatever it was. But yeah, none of that was happening. And what is going on here? Dogs were going crazy. Then all of a sudden, the dogs were barking. It was whatever was happening, there was absolutely somebody there. So our first thoughts were maybe somebody's come off the cliff, come off the hill, and they've walked down in through the village, which is quite possible. So we went out to go and have a look, and nobody could see anything. Everybody had their torches out. It was like, no, the dogs were going wild. Then the dog did the yelpy, screamy, dog's been hurt kind of noise, yeah. And went over. Everybody rushed over to go and see where it was, and the bite mark on the back of this dog's back leg, the size of whatever it was that took a bite out of this dog, must have been absolutely ginormous. It would have easily have been able to fit a fully grown human head in its mouth.
Oh my gosh.
This gouge at the back of the dog took off a third of his rear end. Like
Poor guy.
he was bitten. It wasn't just nipped, he was bitten. Yeah, it was savage. And it's like, wait, what is going on there? Then a couple of the younger guys who'd run up around the cliff to I keep calling it a cliff, up the hill to see, what was around. They came back, and the very first thing that they said was, "We saw the," whatever nickname that they have for this thing, and then described it as being white, really tall, 2 meters tall, hooves for hands and feet, carrying a long staff that was on fire. And it was like, ugh!
Oh
That
my
was the
goodness.
strangest year I've ever had, because it was folklore come
Yeah.
true. And the only reason why I give any weight or value to the story, other than it just being village folklore of, hey, we didn't see anything, let's blame it on the, whatever it is. There's every culture has it. You guys over there have
Mm-hmm.
skinwalkers, and everywhere has these different things, different folklore things of
Mm-hmm.
these things. But the only reason is the size of the bite. Tigers haven't been around in that area for a long time.
I was gonna ask, could it have
Leopards,
been a tiger? Yeah.
no, tigers haven't been around in that area for a long time, because Goa was predominantly swampland, so it was
Okay.
never a native habitat for any like large cat. Then when the Portuguese came in, they reclaimed a lot of the land. So between the Dutch and the Portuguese, they're being there for hundreds of years, a lot of the land became reclaimed. So it was reclaimed to be settled, not it was never wild open
Mm-hmm.
freedom, so to speak. Yeah. So, but the only reason why I gave any value and weight to potentially those folklore type things may actually be a real thing was because of the size of the bite mark on the back of the dog. It was so unbelievably massive that it it was hard to comprehend what would take a bite. It was
Yeah.
that big.
Well, and
It
it's
was
not like there's
massive.
a ton of predators there. Like you said, there's no tigers. I mean, a
No,
leopard is
no, no,
possible,
no.
right? But it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
there has been sightings of like leopards being nearby, so it could have wandered astray. And so that is potentially possible because they have big mouths. If it
They
was a
have
big
big
one,
teeth.
it
Yeah.
could very well have been a leopard, very, very, very possible. But yeah, it's just, you would have heard something. Like, we all know that kind of stereotypical cat sound effect that we always have, that noise
Yeah.
that they all
Yeah.
make in every movie and TV show. Yeah, it's the same licensed sound file. But it's that you would have heard something like that with all the dogs going around and barking. In order for a dog to get bitten, there would have had to have been some kerfuffle somewhere of
Yeah.
animals having a scrap. And if it was a leopard, full well all the dogs would have chased that into the woods, like 100%. They would have chased it up the hill for sure, and they never did. It was like the dog
Hmm.
just got bitten. There were loads of dogs around, and the dog got bitten. Suddenly, he's lying on the floor with massive chunk missing back of him, and it's like,
Poor little
oh my
guy.
goodness, what is going on? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was pretty. So yeah, and ever since then, I had quite a strong interest in these kind of folklore,
Mm-hmm.
fairy tale type stories, because somewhere along the line they've come from some place of truth. There's either a story or somebody's seen something, or you know they saw the shadow, and so then they conjured
Mm-hmm.
up whatever it quite possibly was, and then suddenly that then becomes folklore, and then children don't go out at night. We all know that that's how these things come about. But yeah, it was very, very, very very obscure, but it gave me a lot of interest, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you caught a
Because,
salmon, an actual salmon for a second. Uh,
well, yeah, I saw the bite mark. If it wasn't for the bite mark, I'd have just passed it off as another thing. And
yeah.
I can't, even still to this day, I can't comprehend, other than it potentially of being a leopard. But if it was, a panther or a leopard, or, any one of these other large cats that could have been around in that area, the dogs never chased them. And the dogs chased everything. They chased
Yeah.
everything from pigs, chickens, cats. They chased everything. They were tamed wild dogs. So yeah, they were pack animals, and they protected their territory, that was their place. So yeah, very, 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 very obscure. So things like the
Yeah.
Mothman and Bigfoot and all that, there's a part of me that believes all of it, but then doesn't believe any of it, because I'm a skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's one of
prefer
those
to
things
be
that's like you
skeptical.
kind of want to think it's real, but it's
Hmm.
also like, okay, the evidence isn't great, but then you have something that happens like you were just explaining that like you really don't have a good explanation for.
Hmm.
It makes you kind of question it.
And and there's so
Hey, I
much
mean,
to life. There is so much to life that isn't it isn't as black and white. Not everything is quantifiable.
mhm,
There isn't in life in existence isn't always the same. You can't just boil it down to a paragraph or two and be like, oh yeah, that's because of this. You know, oh, you did A, B, oh, so then C, D. That's not necessarily how life is. And we can kind of go esoteric with the whole concept of the law of attraction, of what you put out is what you get back. Uh, and all of that is kind of a little bit odd, but you tend to attract the things in your life that reflect what's inside of your headspace. So a lot of people try and correct the external aspects of things that are going on in their life, and really a lot of it is internal, which is what kind of fueled the whole hippie movement and self-help movement, which is so unbelievably vast at the moment because people
mhm,
are looking for answers because not everything is so straightforward. And I touched on it earlier where I said karma is specific, it's individual. Yeah.
mhm.
What's good for you isn't good for me, and so on and so forth. So because of things like this, it's yeah, it's quite hard to put things in boxes and and organize them so you actually understand what's going on. There's the whole wish-washy
Mhm.
aspect to some things, like is the Mothman really real? Were these were these jackal dog humanoid creatures on the hills where I grew up, were they real? I have no idea, because there's some very weird and strange things that happen in life that
Mhm.
you can't put into a box. And so that question always remains open, as there is an absolute possibility that there's a whole nother aspect to life and existence that we're just not aware of. And every now and again, the lines blur.
Yeah. I kind of almost like hope that there is because it would almost be kind of disappointing to just be like, nope, it's just what we can see. It's
Hmm.
just this, and it would be really cool to learn that there's more things going on like cryptids or
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
sort of aspect of things. It would be super cool to be like, oh cool, there's like this whole hidden thing that we didn't that's been, kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
There's, well,
Plus and then
I mean,
Mothman is real and that would be super cool. So,
exactly. Exactly. And, there's stories of people saying, oh, Mothman caused this, that, and the other accident. But then on the same, so because wasn't there a bridge or something that collapsed and
yeah,
Mothman was seen on the bridge? I
I
think
don't
that
know
was
the
the
whole lore,
favorite.
to be fair. I'm
No,
not
neither do I.
I'm not super caught up on like the at least the American kind of cryptid scene, I guess. I don't know what's the word for it.
Yeah, I know, but I know what you
I mean,
mean. Yeah, I
I
know
know
where
the
you're coming
basic
from.
stuff of it. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same. But I
There's
think
a
that was his thing, wasn't it? But I think if you look at it from the other aspect, was that, hey, he was there to warn people, like, hey, the bridge is going to go. Like, why are you doing this?
maybe
And
Mothman is innocent.
maybe Mothman's innocent, and it was just a thing. He knows that what or whoever, yeah, this entity Mothman shows himself and makes
He's a harbinger of disaster, maybe.
exactly. Well, maybe he's there to warn people of potential disasters, and he knows
Hmm.
that people are scared of the unknown and the unquantifiable. So by flashing a vision of himself somewhere at people, he's hoping that people would get scared and turn back. But they never
Hmm.
did. They carried on onto the bridge, and the bridge
It's because he's
collapsed.
too cute and you just want to go say hi.
He is. He's all fluffy.
Exactly. He should have been scarier if he wants to keep us away from the bridge that's
That's
gonna
what he needed.
collapse.
Bloody
Moths
fangs.
are
That's what he needed.
adorable. Yeah, it's like, you know,
So
I don't know what he
who knows?
expected. He's adorable, and I want to go say hi. So,
That's the thing. All the things I've seen of Mothman, all the artist renditions,
Mhm.
I've thought absolutely adorable. How cute.
Right? So cute.
Come visit me anytime. My window's open.
So what's funny is that the friend who's visiting the Mothman festival, this started off as a joke because there's a statue of Mothman somewhere that they, for lack of a better term, the artist made hot. All right, it's kind of a hot
Right.
Mothman statue. And so we were talking about would we date Mothman, and of course the answer is yes. He's adorable. Um, so those who are maybe new to Fishterviews, welcome to Fishterviews. We're into it now. And so of course we're talking about would we date Mothman, and the answer of course being yes. We would date Mothman. And so there's this running joke that he's dating Mothman. And so like yeah, of course we would go say hi to Mothman. Like it's just it's we know him. He's a nice guy. Like he's dating a friend. Like
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
He's
Super
a
cool.
cutie.
This guy's one of us.
yeah, he's just a homie. Like
Yeah, very, very possible. Very possible. So I'm
Very
willing
possible.
to err on the side of caution. I'm willing to give him a shot.
exactly. Well, so I'll hang out with Mothman. I think we could hang out. I think we'd have a great time.
Yeah, Mothman's cool. They're all cool. I like most of them actually. Even a lot of the folklore stuff that I've seen and I've looked at. Yeah, just a lot of. I just think, well, maybe they're not as bad as. Maybe they're just misunderstood.
Maybe. I mean, a
Creeper
lot of
paradox.
the kind of popular folklore, like well-known folklore kind of creatures are mostly just are mostly just like tricksters spirit kind of
Yes.
things. They sort of mess with people a little bit. And it's like, well, I mean, it's not that hard to mess with us. Do you blame them? Like we play
No,
practical
absolutely,
jokes
so
on each
easy.
other. Like why would you not mess with us a little bit? Like
And we're all very scared of the unknown. Well, not necessarily
Exactly.
scared even, but it's that unsure. When you don't
Exactly.
know, oh yeah, there's that thing of, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm walking home at night and like a raccoon in a bush makes a noise, I jump and then I realize it's a raccoon. But in my head, it's a giant monster about to
Oh,
eat my face.
absolutely, yeah,
you
you're
know?
going to have your face eaten, exactly. yeah,
Exactly like that exact sound actually is what would have
that's it,
happened.
exactly, yeah.
So I mean, and it's human nature to be afraid of, things we don't understand or can't see. Because for a long period of human history, we could be eaten by a lion or
Exactly.
a whatever. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. Like,
Yeah, very much so.
and we have not moved past that tendency to be scared of, the silly things that go in the dark. There's a reason that
Yeah, this
people
is survival.
love scary movies and all that stuff. It's 'cause,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's the appeal of Dead by Daylight, right?
Absolutely. I was playing that game the other day
I'm
and
about
got
to
the
get gotten. I'm
actual
about to get gotten.
I was playing that game the other day and got scared so bad. Because they just added a new game mode. It's a temporary game mode where the idea is it's lights out. So you have this very small sphere as the character where you can actually see. And so the
Anything,
killers
right.
can sneak up on you really easily. And you're just minding your own business, and suddenly the Michael Myers is right there, and you just scream like a fool. But it makes it really fun. I mean, it's a frustrating game mode in the sense of the gameplay because it's really hard to win as a survivor, but
Yeah.
it's very fun in the sense that it's very scary.
I think, like everything else, it's the participation that's the real enjoyment.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jeff. Well, thank you so much for joining me for a fish review. I hope you had a lovely time.
I did. I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It was awesome. It's always a fun time when you get to talk about Mothman. So
I will agree. Mothman is cool. Mothman's one of us.
we are Mothman supporters.
100%.
Well,
And I got you an Unbreaking and Efficiency 4 book as well, so that's a bonus.
perfect. Yeah, I have a bunch of loot. But
I'm
before
sure
we
you
head
do.
out- so much. I actually have to clean up this area. There's stuff hidden all over the place. It's a problem.
Is there a box I put my things in?
There's some
Hi, Fishing Fred.
yeah, there's some barrels, but they're kind of full. There's also
are
some
very full.
barrels in the water that are like part
Is
of the
there?
build. Yeah, you can just shove
Ooh.
stuff in there. That's fine.
Oh, snazzy. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'll pass you the important stuff.
Perfect. Yeah, I've just literally been like hiding. There's stuff over here. There's stuff everywhere. It's a problem. But no, thank you so much for joining. Before we head out, can you let everybody know where they can find you out on the internet?
Main place, at least at the moment, and at least for the foreseeable future, twitch.tv/Drathmorgh. You can catch me there. I do have Twitter or X or whatever it's called, but mostly I'm active on either my Discord server, which you'll get through Twitch. But yeah, that's me. That's where I am. That's what I do. I'll see you there.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. All right, bye.
Bye.